Hello YouTube, PsychoFox here. So welcome to another episode of What the Postman's Put Through the Door, or rather in this case, What Hermes has left behind the bin. Well, to be fair actually, they did knock on the door for this one. Had to sign for this one. But parcel has sustained a bit of damage. There's two big punctures that go right into the bubble wrap of what's inside. I mean, that one's gone right through the tape. So yeah, that was quite a sharp object. On a cursory glance, I think the contents are okay. So let's see if anyone can guess what's in here. There's a little clue there. Amstrad. And the dimensions of that, well, might give you a clue. It's a big flat package, so it's obviously not a 464. Not the original version anyway. You can see a cartridge poking through there. So yeah, let's do an old-fashioned unboxing. So yeah, you can see there it's gone right through two layers of bubble wrap and then a sizable indentation. So hopefully what's inside will have survived. Because yeah, I've actually owned two of these in the past. And a bit of buyer's seller's remorse really. Shouldn't have sold them, and I finally got one back. This one was on eBay. I think it was 30 odd quid. It's untested, and I made a cheeky offer of 50 quid. And it got accepted. I didn't really think it would. I thought it was a bit cheeky sort of price these I've been going for lately. So there's a little clue. And if we unwrap further, come on, don't you miss these unpackaging videos, these unboxing videos? Possibly not. Feel free to fast forward. So yeah, if you haven't worked out already, there's a clue. So yeah, it's been really well packed, which has really saved its bacon after that vicious assault with some sort of ice pick or something. So let's oh, excuse the camera work. Let's get it out. My word. So yeah, Amstrad 464 Plus. Not bad condition at all. Very slightly yellowed. Bit of sticky tape there for some reason. It's got all the keys. A little bit grubby, but that's the way I like it. Means it needs cleaning, and that's always the most fun part. Yeah. Bit of scratching there, not sure if you can see that little bit of scratching, but not bad at all. Help if I adjusted the focus. Yeah, there's a bit of scratching, there's a bit of dirt here and there. Has to be expected. But on the whole, not too bad. A few scuffs on the bottom. They should come off with a magic eraser. It sort of burnt the plastic where wires sort of reacted with the plastic and melted its way in the way they do. Yeah, so it's just a machine that I really like the styling of, and every time I get one I ever sell it I'm regretting it. So this time, nah, this one's for keeps. So I'll order up a cable. I've got the power supply for it. I'll order up the cable to get it attached to the TV and we can test it. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and clean it up, because it's looking a little bit crusty. So first step, Let's break out the baby wipes. How's it looking in there? Yeah. Yeah, a bit manky in there. Alright then, let's get to work. Okay, so I've gone over it with a baby wipe and I've done a bit more in-depth cleaning here and there where it needed it, so I'll just take you in close and show you how it looks. So much nicer. This sort of embossed lettering is always a bit tricky to get all the dirt out, but it's one of the most fun cleans. I've done this quite a few times and it's really satisfying when you get all this lettering lovely and dirt free. So yeah, it's come up really nice. So what I wound up doing was just getting a baby wipe and going over it, getting cotton bud with some isopropyl in there on the tape head and just cleaning the hard to reach places, getting an old credit card with a baby wipe wrapped around it, just squeezed the baby wipe off a bit so it wasn't too wet and just ran it through all the keys and vertically where I could, and also did the same on these little air vents here. Just went over that with a credit card and the baby wipe wrapped around it. A bit of isopropyl on the connectors, they've come up nice. Well, fair bit shinier actually, looking good. And there was a few scuffs. I've gone over this little scratch with a magic eraser. You can just faintly see it. On the bottom there were quite a few scuffs in this area. They've all gone. The little mark that's burnt into the plastic, that remains. Stickers come off. So I think what happened at one point, it had the cables or some sort of cable coiled up underneath, and it was taped on here. That's where there was a tape mark here and the cable mark burnt into the bottom. So yeah, that's come off with a bit of isopropyl. So it's looking very nice. Got no idea if it works or not. It's got a nice bright Amstrad logo as well, because that's another thing you find. The sun will fade that to sort of a light orange colour, which is a bit of a shame. I had a 6128 plus, and that had happened to that, which was a shame. But yeah, this one's looking nice. Well, I was told this had been stored in the loft for many years, and that's why it's in such a nice condition, and that's why it's untested. So I think next thing we'll do, we'll open the case and just have a look at what's going on inside, see if there's anything to be concerned about in there. Okay, so that's the case off. One thing that did concern me, the screws didn't seem to put up much of a fight coming out, and the little tabs, I don't know if you can see there. Oh, where am I? There. They've got some score marks on them. So someone's prized this case off at some point in the past. Not sure why. So that is slightly worrying. That's sort of leading me to believe that it had a problem and there's been some investigation in the past. But yeah, before we get to that point, it's looking alright actually. It's pretty clean in here. Not seeing anything immediately untoward, so I'll just give it a little going over with some isopropyl. And then we'll see if we can test the power supply and see if I've not got a monitor lead yet, but we'll see if we can get any power and sound out of it. So right, let's give it a little brush up. Okay, so it really wasn't dirty, but it's come up even nicer with a bit of isopropyl. Tape mechanism's all looking good. There's a slight bit of discoloration there, which sort of corresponds to this sort of region on the tape. I'm not sure if that's normal. There was a sign that something's been overheating at some point. Plastic's just gone a bit yellow on that portion of the casing. But yeah, I think it's looking good. I've just cleaned under there with a baby wipe. I finished off the rest of the board with some isopropyl. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned as to why this has been opened in the past. But it's looking good anyway, so I think the next thing is just to see if it sparks into life. Alright, I'll get the case closed up and let's do a bit more investigation. Okay, so I've got the 464 hooked up to, it's the same power supply you can use for the original 6128. It's 5 volt, 3 amp, center positive, 2.5mm jack. Got the cartridge in, so it'll turn on. It won't boot, won't even turn on without that in. And I've just got some external speakers rigged up, just so when we press F2 and go into burning rubber, we can actually hear if it's working or not. So, got a continuous beeping sound. So, tape deck seems to be working. So the beeping stopped. If we press F2, do we get burning rubber? So I'm wondering if there's a fault. With the keyboard, and if that's why someone had opened it up before. So the delete key stuck. Yeah, when I'm pressing the delete key, it's actually stopping it for a second. I'm not getting burning rubber music coming through. And the beeping stopped. So yeah, it's a bit of a mystery at the moment. It's we're sort of blindly sort of poking around in the dark because I've got nothing on screen. So I get that SCART cable through. Yeah, but at the moment it's just doing a pretty much continuous beep, which seems to be related to the delete key. Yeah. But it's powering on, that's the main thing. So yeah, we'll do a bit more research once I get the SCART cable, and we'll go from there. It could well be a problem with the keyboard or the chip that controls the keyboard. I'll do a bit of research and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so just a second after I turn the camera off, so it's booted into burning rubber, which it does after you leave it for 30 seconds or so. But it wasn't booting and pressing F2, so I'm guessing that the keyboard isn't working. So I know that the cartridge is working, the actual computer's working, but at the moment the keyboard is just it's not working due to it's continuously pressing delete or sending out a signal that's just blocking all the other keys. So yeah, that could be why it was opened up in the past. But yeah, we'll tackle that when I get a cable and done a bit more research. Anyway, good to hear burning rubber again. Okay, so I took it apart again. I've cleaned the two little ribbon connectors that connect the keyboard to the motherboard, and that doesn't seem to make any difference. But I'm still obviously without a monitor, that picture on the screen. But I found something interesting. Turn it on, it beeps. Press clear, and it stops. So whatever the problem is, you can just stop it by pressing clear. And got the old pad. Clear burning rubber starting up fine. So yeah, it looks like it's working. So I'm just missing the SCART cable, which is going to be coming from Retro Computer Shack shortly. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what's actually going on screen. I'm guessing it's a list of gibberish, and that clear just gets rid of it all. So I think the keyboard or the chip does have a fault, but at the moment, pressing clear cures it. So at the moment I'm happy with that. It's just a little quirk this particular Amstrad's got, and for the price of 50 quid, it's absolutely immaculate. I'm not really moaning. If it ever goes really wrong in the future, I can just get a new AY chip, keyboard controller chip, or a new keyboard, or if it's beyond me, I'll get someone else to help me with it. So yeah, I'll test out the older tape player. I've not actually got something on screen to look at, so I'm not doing it blind. But for the moment, yeah, it's cheered me up a bit. So yeah, so the next little bit you should see, it should be a picture on the screen, and let's hope it's coming out okay. Okay, so I've got my RGB SCART cable from Retro Computer Shack. It's the powered variant, so power from the wall just plugs into that bit there, and then you loop the 5V from the cable into the jack there. So we can finally see now what's actually going on screen when we power this thing up. So we're getting the familiar beeps. Nothing on this menu screen, obviously. So if we F1, we're getting 7, 8, and then 3 is repeating. So if you press delete, it'll let you stop and delete. So 7, 8, and then 3 recurring. So it's obviously some sort of problem with the number keys, I'd guess. Something to do with the keyboard matrix. So I'm guessing if you do that, you can just input commands as per normal. So it's just a bit of a quirk. So I'll just go ahead now and see if I can test all the keys and see if the keyboard's working alright apart from that number problem. Okay, so I've tested out the keyboard, and as you can see at the top, number 3 isn't working, and also on the first line, the QWERTY line, Q is working. So if you press Q, it works. If you press W, you get a beep and E and W. Press E, you get a beep and E and W. Press R, you get R and T. T, you get R and T. Y, you get U and Y. U, you get U and Y. I, you get O and I. O, you get O and I. P, you get ampersand and P. Ampersand, you get ampersand and P. And after that, it seems to work alright. Sorry, the camera's dipping there. Yeah, so button 3 is faulty, and pretty much the whole of the top line as well. So there's something very strange going on with this keyboard matrix. Yes. But good news is burning rubber is working. Nice to see that on screen. So looking great through the cable. So yeah, a little bit strange. So I'll have to do a bit more research and find out if this is fixable. I mean, if not, it's not a hugely big deal, because my 6128, I'm going to be putting a GoTech in that, and that'll be how I'm playing all the tape games. So this tape deck here might not even get used anyway. Obviously you only need the keyboard for the tape commands. I'm hoping at some point to get a C4 CPC cartridge in this. So I'm thinking the keyboard problem isn't such a big deal, but it would be nice to get it fixed. So I'll do a bit more research and see if we can get to the bottom of it. Okay, one other thing I've just noticed after plugging the joypad in, and I've tried this in both ports on burning rubber. Up is working to accelerate the car, but 1 and 2 are working. Left and right don't respond. That's the same using this joypad and the Master System joypad. So that could be the same, that could be related to the keyboard fault. One thing I did strongly suspect though that the fault was with the keyboard, because I disconnected the keyboard from the motherboard, and upon starting the computer the continuous beeping wasn't there. So I'm thinking it's not a problem with the AY chip, it was a problem with the keyboard membrane. But it could be that the keyboard being plugged in is affecting the controls. So it could be interesting just to start the game with the keyboard plugged in, disconnect the keyboard, and then see if left and right return. So that's something I might do next. Yeah, so yeah, a bit of troubleshooting with this. It's not playing ball, but hopefully we'll get there. Yeah, so as I suspected, left and right return to use within the game once this bottom keyboard connector is unplugged. The top one, left and right, will work without plugged in, but as soon as this lower keyboard connector is in, left and right cease to work on this. So it's not a problem with the board, it's a problem with the keyboard confusing the board. It's sending out messages and blocking the signals. So yeah, it's definitely a problem with the keyboard. So that's good to know. So what I'll do now is I'll do a bit of investigation work and see if we can't figure out just what's wrong with this keyboard and see if it's fixable in any way, or if we have to get a replacement, which would be a shame. But I could always pop off these keys, because it wouldn't be the end of the world if I had to buy a yellowed replacement and just use the membrane. So right, I'll do some investigation and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so it's increasingly looking like it's going to be the keyboard membrane that's a problem. So I've popped the metal shield off the back of the keyboard, and there's a lot of dust there clinging to the membrane. So once I've cleaned that and given that a wipe down, what I've been told to do is, the membrane consists of two parts, and you sort of peel them apart and then back together. There's a lot of sort of erosion to this outside track here. I'm not sure if that's anything to be worried about. It seems to be the same all the way around. Not sure if that's ground, but hopefully that might disappear when I pull the two parts apart and put them back together. So what I'll be doing is peeling off the first part, leaving it attached at one end, and then hopefully just sandwiching it back down. But before then I'll get all these dust bunnies out of it. So yeah, an absolute ton of dirt in there, bits of moth as well, all sort of ground up under the keys. All that was sitting on top of the membrane, so that's really not going to help. So I've just given it a wipe down with this baby wipe, and yeah, it's come out quite nice. So let's just separate the membranes, put them back together, and we'll see if that helps. Okay, so really simple to pull the membrane apart and put it back together again. Just make sure you do it on a flat surface and peel it back so there's a little bit still joins, just so the two don't pop apart, and then just flatten it back down. I did it on the bathroom floor. We've got a nice hard flat surface. I also went around the outer rail here with a bit of isopropyl, so there was a bit of dirt stuck between the two layers. So it's gone back together. I've flipped it back over and put it back on the keyboard. So next thing to do is just to reassemble and see if that's made any difference. So I'm just putting the back on, and as you can see, all you do is you push into these little clips. You just snap back into place. So just keep pushing until they're all on. So I'll finish doing that, get it all put back together. Hopefully we'll have a working keyboard. Okay, so if we go into basic, we've got no delete tone All buttons are working. And if you boot into Burning Rubber, we've got left and right on the D-pad are working as well. So yeah, that's what it was. It was the membrane needed repositioning. It was just full of dirt, needed resetting. So that's it, all fixed. Thanks for watching.